you going to Shabbat tonight?
Okay, so wait, before we can get to some important questions, let's I want to welcome everybody to our One World Energy Encounter with the Zohar. We are in volume 14. This week's portion is Vayikra. And as we connect to the verses, we want to have a consciousness of unity, uniting the world. It's one world. It looks fragmented, but it's not. We encounter it as separate and distinct, but it isn't. And so we want to be sending energy out to the whole world from wherever we are, energy of avat chinam, unconditional love, energy of removing negativity, of protection from evil eye, evil speech, energy of healing for everyone we know who needs healing, energy of elevation for those we know who have elevated, whose souls have elevated recently, sending them energy of comfort on their journey, and also comfort to all those who are supporting them on their journey. And also connecting to the energy of treating everyone with human decency. And I think that's a lot. Anyone want to volunteer to read English for us today? Not all. Okay, Ellen, thank you. All right, we're at verse 343. And before we get started, there's an interesting aspect to this week. We're starting the third book. This is the book of Vayikra. The Bible, the Torah is 5 books. Some say there's 6, some say there's 7. That's kind of next level. But it's recognized basically as 5 books. This is the third book, Vayikra, which literally means, and he spoke. And who's the he? This is the creator. So the first opportunity we have this week is to listen to the messages that the creator is sending us. And there's a little paradox in that first word. You know, as we've discussed before, there's one font size in the Torah as it's written on the parchment, the black ink on the white parchment, the black fire on the white fire. Everything's one font size, except there are exceptions. There are letters that are sometimes larger, and there are letters that are sometimes smaller. And that is discussed in different Zohars here. We're not going to read that one today, but I want to point out something very, that our teachers teach us, and that is, so in the word Vayikra, the last letter is Aleph. So like at a seed level, Vayikra has a small Aleph. So Vayikra has letters, but the last letter, the Aleph, is smaller than the rest of the letters. So it's it's that smaller font. And the question is why? There's nothing there that is accidental. There's no typos. Everything is by design, and the exact spacing is by design, and the exact size is by supernal design. And so the question is, why is there a small Aleph? And so what do our teachers teach us is that because to hear the voice of the creator, we need to lessen ourselves. We need to take ourselves down a notch. We need to approach the world with humility, meaning the message the creator may be sending us might not be from our teacher. The message the creator may be sending us may be coming from a student, maybe coming from a random conversation when you're getting on or off the elevator, or walking down the aisle of a supermarket. Maybe something a complete stranger says. It may be something someone is giving you a message and trying to tell you something, and it may be behind what they're saying. So this is an opportunity for us this week to raise our consciousness to the message, the internal energy behind the situations where we hear things, and even the things that people are saying to us directly, especially the things they're saying to us directly. So just something for us to be present to this week. Ellen, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, where are we?
We're at verse 343 in Vayikra, which is volume 14.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this article is called Rachel Weeping for Her Children. And, Rachel, one of the matriarchs, the relationship, the channel that Leah and her sister Rachel are for us is so significant that if you look in your connection books, there's a discussion about it. There's a one line of consciousness before the standing prayer, the Amidah. And, these aren't just Bible figures, characters in some Shakespearean play. It's not what it's about. Rachel is there for us right now, but why would Rachel be crying? Why would Rachel be weeping for her children? So I'm going to ask the question. I don't really have the answer. I do have answers, but let's see what the Zohar says. Verse 343. Rabbi Yossi Patach, let's invite in the lineage of the Rav and Karen and Michael, Rabbi Shlag, Rabbi Brandwein, the Ariya Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Ramazulai, Rabbi Nachum Mendel of Vitebsk, Rabbi Kolon Mishapir Piasetsna, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and all of his students, Rabbi Mordechai of Chernobyl. Okay, this is the second day of Nisan. One quick word about Nisan. The root of Nisan is Nun Samach, Nes, which means miracle. So this literally is the month of miracles for us. So and these first 12 days of Nisan represent seed level for each of the 12 months in the year that follows. This is the month today of ER of Taurus. And so today is the seed level for Taurus when that month comes up. So these first 12 days, I heard David Gaum referred to as kind of like an unstable period of time. And the 49 days of Sfirah are also an unstable period of time. But here we are, this is somewhat unstable because here we are at seed level for the next year of these 12 days. And it is ultimately, we are in preparation for Passover. That's what we're doing. If this is the second day, Passover is 13 nights from tonight, roughly. I have that right. Actually, from last night. So we're literally, it's countdown to the Passover Seder and an opportunity to diminish our ego, to remove our ego. With every bada matzah, we're crushing our ego. And by that I mean removing physicality, removing and rising above our connection to body consciousness and strengthening our connection to soul consciousness. Okay, 343. Rabbi Yossi Patach v'amar, Ko amar Hashem kol barama nishma nehi bechi b'gomer. Ko amar Hashem ha ukmuha b'chol atar dinbi'a sharei l'malala. Hava miloi ishtamodan v'hachahai ko amar Hashem kutchabrichu. Ma amar kol barama nishma. Ellen?
Rabbi Yossi opened the discussion with the verse, "Thus says Hashem, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping."
Okay, so here we are, we're hearing the voice. Again, aligned with this, the energy of this week of Vayikra, of hearing. It's the voice we hear. Go ahead.
It has been understood that whenever a prophet opens his words, they are recognized by the name mentioned at the beginning.
Okay, so stop there for a second. Not coincidentally, the Zohar that we've been doing Monday through Thursday in Balak brought up this whole discussion about the different beginnings of Psalms, either relating to Moses, David, or a prayer of the poor. So here we are in another Zohar, which is talking about when a prophet says something, those initial words are not just random, they represent seed level. We have the same thing going on with this week's portion of Vayikra. That's seed level for book 3. Okay, keep going.
Has been under
Whether
okay.
the name.
Whether the name indicates judgment or mercy, Zion Pin or Malchut,
That's
etc.
etc. That's not an extensive list, is it? But the point is that in our unpacking these verses, the verses of the Torah or the verses of the prophets or the verses in Psalms of King David. It's coded. It's all coded. This isn't scholarship. It's internal energy. This isn't going on in our heads. This is us connecting to our hearts. It's seeing things with our third eye. It's perceiving things through our intuitive abilities. This is the power of every time we study the Zohar, but this is the power in particular this week. What does it mean to hear the messages? I have to listen more closely? Yeah, probably. But it's hearing the intention behind the words. Someone asked me earlier today, and how do I speak to a Cancerian? Carefully, they're very sensitive. Don't criticize a Cancerian. I mean, you can, but like, you better sugarcoat it. I'm just saying. They're not so resilient. They don't come back so fast. Their skin's not, I'm just saying, so it's always about what's going on. It's about, that's the eternal energy. That's the way we're wired. That's why certain people just are always in conflict, because one sign has one energy behind their words and another sign here's a different energy. I think I've mentioned I've studied communication skills. I don't mean like in like an academic setting either. I've studied communication skills. Like the most obvious skill is let's use the right language. So if someone's not speaking English, well, the best way to communicate them is figure out what language they understand. And keep in mind, the mother tongue, the language that you grew up on is the narrative in your head. Like we know people who are bilingual. The question always is, well, I understand you're bilingual, you're fluent in 2 languages, let's say. Like what language are you talking in your head? So knowing that's important if you want to effectively communicate to somebody. But so the one obvious thing is if you hear them speaking another language and the only way to communicate to them is using that language. That's obvious. Less obvious is even when they're speaking English, is their communication patterns. Everybody's speaks in a different way. Some people use their hands more, some people don't. But if you want to be understood by somebody, you need to be observing how they communicate. That's at a 1% level. At a 99% level, it's like understanding how they're wired. And one of the things that we used to understand is knowing their sign is a huge insight. Knowing our sign is a huge insight. But it's all about that internal energy, not only about reading text that is sent to us essentially from the Creator, channeled to us from the Creator through a prophet, or through Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his students, or through Moses. Not only that, but also in our interactions with people, to understand how they're wired, what their internal energy is. Okay, I think I shared before, and I'm sure I did, this idea that when we learn to speak our truth, which I guess you don't just learn it. It's not like learning to ride a bike. Well, maybe it is, but like, because there's a spectrum of speaking your truth. We're all trying to figure out our truth. But the more we speak our truth, the more the throat chakra opens up. I mean, it's literally our ability to speak the truth literally opens us up spiritually and literally assists us in manifesting more of who we truly are. That's our truth. But not only does opening up the throat chakra through speaking our truth assist us in our journey, but it gives us the ability to hear the truth behind the things that people are saying to us. The more your throat chakra opens up, the more truth you hear behind the words that people share with you. Things they don't even know. They're not aware. Okay, keep going.
Thus says Hashem, this is the Holy One, blessed be He, namely Zeir Pin. What does he say? A voice was heard in Ramah of Malchut, as will be explained.
Okay, so we have, thus says Hashem. In this context, it's Zeir Pin, it's the upper realm, and a voice was heard in Ramah. That's manifestation. So we have both upper realm and lower realm. We have Zeir Anpin and Malchut. What stands in potential and what manifests. So for us, this is opening up for us this ability, again, to manifest our truth, to find our voice. And we can find it. There's still more. Rest assured. Even when we find it, there's still more to find. 344. So again, this is waking up us. This is an opportunity for us to grow in our ability to find our truth and to speak our truth. 344. Hakitanan divhahu yoma di'itzchara be makdashalatata b'Yisrael azlu b'galuta rechayim al tzavarehon v'dehon mehadkan la'achora u'chnes Yisrael itbarachat mibet malka lameach bat rehon b'sha'ata denachtat amrat ehach b'kadmeta be'eb ke al madorai v'albanai v'al ba'ali kadnachtat Hamat at hara chariv the chamadama the chasidei itoshad begava the hechala kadisha veta itokad be'esha. Ellen?
We have learned that on the day the temple was destroyed and Yisrael went into exile with a millstone around their neck and their hands bound behind them, the congregation of Yisrael, the Shekinah, was driven from the king's house to follow them into exile.
Okay, so first let's understand that the temple, the physical temple was destroyed, but the upper realm temple was not. But with the destruction of the physical temple, so for us, listen, when we are connecting with the destruction of the temple, this is sinat chinam. The temple was destroyed because of baseless hatred. And the Talmud gives specific examples of things that went on that were baseless enmity, baseless lack of treating people with human decency and lack of respect. And without that, everything falls apart. And so the temple fell apart. It didn't so much, I mean, it did fall apart. It was destroyed. You can go there now. You can go to the old city and you see the remnants of the temple. It's the only wall that stands is the Western Wall. You can see through the excavation, you see these huge stones that were like knocked over. You can see still remnants of the fire that burned. So like it was destroyed. But again, that's physicality. That's the effect, the cause, what was taking place at a spiritual level. It was sinat chinam. So we literally, physically, the children of Israel physically are exiled and sent to, in this case, Babylonia. If we're talking about the first destruction, which I believe we are. And so what happens? The Shekhinah leaves also. What's the Shekhinah? The Shekhinah is this aspect, this nurturing, feminine aspect of the Creator. We didn't lose that. That actually travels with us. Go ahead. When
the Shekinah descended, she said, "Let me go first to lament my dwelling place, the temple, my children, Yisrael, and my husband Zeir Pin, who separated from her. When she came down, she saw her abode ruined with much blood of the pious flowing in it, and the temple and her house consumed by fire."
Yeah, legit. That's not just metaphor. That's literally the narrative of the story of what happened. At a 1% level, on a 99% level, it represents this distance, this space that we perceive at times when we also don't feel connected to the light. It happens all the time. Happens every day. So is that, what to do about that? Can remember that, and this is something our teachers tell us, is that even when we fall, there's light in where we end up. I mean, we have fallen because there is light, there are sparks, there's important aspects of ourselves that needs to be revealed. So on the one hand, we're talking about the destruction of the temple. On the other hand, we're talking about our life experience and our personal journey and our own falling. The Shekhinah is still there. The light is still there with us. We don't perceive it to be there. And so one of the questions we ask ourselves always, like from Kabbalah 1, why is this in my movie? Where is the light? Where is the opportunity for growth? Nothing happens to you without it coming from the light, and nothing happens to you without it being a purposeful aspect of your journey to assist us in our own elevating our soul, in our own opportunity to fully manifest who we are. Everything that happens is there to assist us in elevating. 345. Kidena rimat kalavit v'it regish ilae v'tata'e umata kala le'ela adata demalka share be uva malka la'adra amalatohu vavohu ad nachtu kama ochlusin v'chama mashiryan l'kabbalah tanchumin minayu hadavtiv koba rabban nishma nihibechi tamrurim rachel mevavcha al-baneha me'ana lihinachem al-baneha v'lakabbalah minayu tanchumim ki enenu v'gin demak k'tisha hava salik le'ela le'ela v'la ishchak b'gaba hadavtiv ki enenu v'lakativ ki enam.
She then raised her voice in weeping, and the upper and lower beings were in tumult. The voice reached up to where the king, Zeranpin, abides.
I mean, this is a very heavy energy. I mean, it's like, again, it's the destruction of the temple. It's the space where the Shekhinah rested. We're essentially the house, a place for the energy of the upper realm to manifest, which is why there are all these rules and boundaries around the holy temple. It wasn't normal energy there. By normal, I mean like our normal, not upper realm. It was like an aspect of the upper realm manifesting in physicality. Go ahead.
The king then wanted to bring the world back into chaos.
What do you think that we call chaos here? Tohu vavohu. We had that whole topic came up a week or so ago. That's the word that the Bible, the Torah, uses to describe what was going on before creation, or immediately before creation, that there was chaos. And again, for us, we experience this chaos every day. So for us, when we are looking at chaos, this is our opportunity to inject order. And we see chaos. Look, I mean, stand at the beach and look at the waves. There's waves, but there's really no pattern other than the waves. It looks pretty chaotic. It's not. It's all by design. Everything that's going on right now in our world is by design. Chaos is the illusion. It's like we're so micro-focused on some aspect of our own world, we don't see the tapestry of all of reality. Good.
Many legions and hosts of angels came down to console her, but she took no consolation.
Okay. Really? Yeah, really. By the way, you have many angels assisting you in your work also. So for us, this is also a connection and an opportunity to raise our consciousness about the assistance that we're getting. When you were doing the study, you are not alone. We're not alone. You're never alone. There's always assistance there. And we should acknowledge that. And when we're in challenging situations, ask for help. Go ahead.
Hence, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted for her children because she would not be consoled by them, because he is not. The Holy King has risen above and is not inside her. Hence, it says, because he is not and not, they are not, since it alludes to the Holy King.
Does anyone remember how Rachel perished? What happened that her soul elevated? Remember the context?
Didn't she die on the road?
She did die on the road. What'd she die of?
Where she died or how she or when?
Well,
She
what's
took
the story? Like, how did she
During
die?
childbirth, right?
Childbirth.
Yeah.
Childbirth.
Right. Right.
But she took the place of her son, they said, right?
Well,
that as
there's an aspect of that also.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you read the love story between Joseph and Rachel, it's kind of, bittersweet. Right? She can't have children. She finally does. She has Joseph. She is trying to have a second child, and she literally dies in childbirth. And by the way, Jacob loses Joseph, right? I mean, they reconnect in Vayikra, but he loses Joseph. So on a certain level, it's a very tragic story. But what's going on here? Why is this whole Rachel thing coming up again? What is this? Seriously. 346. Amar le Rabbi Chia, my Rachel mi bacha al baneha, Amar le Olifna, dehi Knesset Israel, v'da it into the Yaakov vadai, dichtiv yehav Yaakov et Rachel, l'chativ Rachel akara, l'chativ hatam moshivi akeret habayit, em habanim smecha. Ellen?
Rabbi Chaya said to him, why does it say Rachel weeping for her children?
Yeah, why does it say that? Is it a metaphor? Is it the Shekhinah? What's going on here? Is it the Shekhinah? Is it Rachel? Why is it Rachel? What's it have to do with her story? What's it have to do with who she is? More importantly, what relevance does Rachel have in our lives? Well, why should she have any relevance? She lived a long time ago. Wrong. She has relevance for us in our lives. It wouldn't be here if she didn't. So what is the opportunity that is always presenting us vis-a-vis Rachel the matriarch? Go ahead.
It should have said that the Shekinah was weeping for her children.
Right? That's what Rav Ashlag is saying. That's really what, shouldn't it have said that?
He said to him, we learn that Rachel is a congregation of Yisrael, namely the Shekinah. Surely she is Jacob's wife, namely the wife of Zeranpin called Jacob, as written, and Jacob loved Rachel, Bereshit. But Rachel was barren. It is also written, he makes a barren woman to keep house and be a joyful mother of children. All these verses speak of the Shekinah.
It's always about the Shekhinah. That's what it's about. And again, for us to wrap our heads around it, often it's put in human terms. It's not like Rachel didn't walk the earth. She did. It's not like she wasn't significant. She's a matriarch. She's incredibly significant. One of the understandings is that the region she chose to perish where she did is because that's the roadway upon which the children of Israel were sent out of Jerusalem upon its destruction. And she wanted to be there that's what we're talking about. We talk about consoling the children of Israel. She's always there for us and always there to assist us in every situation we're in. The Shekhinah. Yes, Peter.
Question. It always refers to Yaakov as congregation of Israel, and here it does Rachel. And I'm not sure, I understand it because I've never heard that reference before.
Well, they're soulmates. So,
There's got to be a different aspect. There's got to be more to it.
well, they are soulmates. So you're right. There probably is more to it, but to a certain degree, it speaks to the level of their connection. I think for us, it's a matter of soulmate connection. When we talk about Jacob, we talk about Rachel, we're talking about soulmate connection. When we're talking about the Rav and Karen, we're talking about soulmate connection. So that's also, it's our opportunity to also manifest that energy of soulmate connection. But it is interesting to see, because on the one hand, these are people and they are channels. On the other hand, it's Knesset Israel, it's the children of Israel, and it's the Shekhinah. So we have this interplay between the narrative, the physical story, a 1% illustration, and again, we have what's happening on a deeper level. Were Jacob and Rachel married? Did they have children? Yeah. But on a much deeper level, what they are channels for the energy from the upper realm, manifesting that in our realm. And not just then, now, literally now, in the present moment. They're here, and those channels are open for us. And so we should be thinking in terms of the people that we know. That's why we're always talking about, like, in this context, thinking about the people we know who need healing. Because that healing energy is available to us when we're connecting the upper realm with our realm. 347. Davar acher, ki enenu kamad itmar, enenu gadol b'bayit v'gomer, enenu da istalik la'ela v'archik michola, enenu b'zivuga ba, enenu lishtakha shemei rabba. So again, all these things are helping us to open up our perceptual abilities, specifically to hear the messages. Ellen?
Another interpretation for because he is not. It resembles the words, there is none greater in this house than I. None does not simply mean that he is not, but that there is no one greater in the house than I.
Okay, so it's a play on words, essentially, what the Zohar is saying. None doesn't mean nothing. None means none other than. There's no other one greater than. And listen, we see this coming up all the time, where words, we take them literally, but we need context to understand that there's a much deeper meaning. And that's what the Zohar is telling us is going on right here. Keep going.
It is written in general and has many meanings. One, he is not, because the Holy One, blessed be he, is gone above, away from everything. Two, he is not united with her. And three, he is not, because his name, the Shekinah, is no longer his great name, but is in exile.
I mean, there's a paradox in all these situations, because yes, the light goes up, but yes, the light is still available. Yes, there is a lack of unity between upper realm and lower realm, between the congregation of Israel and the Shekhinah, but yet at some level, there's always a connection. We can't survive. If we're here, it's testament to that there is a connection. And lastly, the Shekhinah is in exile. But the Shekhinah is still an aspect of the light of the Creator. So this is a paradox between a world that we perceive of fragmentation, of lack, of sadness, of tragedy, of Rachel dying during childbirth. It's tragic. And on the other hand, the light's always there. But we need the ability to perceive the lack so that we can work on manifestation and earn the light, not receive the light. And so one of the other things that this is opening up for us is an appreciation for the reason why we experience challenges is to give us the opportunity to earn the light. I think I shared earlier in this week, but I think it's so powerful to think about it again. And that is one of the things that David Guillaume shared in his deep consciousness, is that there's a paradox that exists when we want to manifest fulfillment. And the paradox goes like this: you need desire to manifest it. That's baseline. But we have to show up like it's already there, because it is. It's in potential. And that's the paradox. Well, what do you mean? Is it here or isn't it here? It's both. Is the Shekhinah here or not? Yes. Is the Creator here or not? Yes. In both cases. Yes, Roshan.
Yeah, isn't that what we were talking about yesterday in Balog?
Yeah, it is. I mean, what is it? It's like we have to show up, we have to have huge desire, and then we have to push it away.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. It's an important
That's
question.
mentioned.
Yes,
It's-
it's such an important, so I'm bringing it up again. It's such an important consciousness. Because we listen, it's so easy when things are black and white, but they're not. It's, I need to have this desire, and it's a desire to receive for the sake of sharing. And I have this desire, but the same token, I need to show up like the fulfillment is there, like I'm fulfilled. I have to actually kind of push it away a little. Yeah, it's okay, I don't need it. I have this desire to receive, and then I'm kind of pushing it away. It's like a paradox. It is a paradox. Like, how do you do that? It's a little frustrating. But think about any place in your life right now where there is lack. It could be soulmate energy, it could be financial security, it could be the love of the people that we care a lot about. I'm sure there's more than that. It's my reactivity in certain situations. Okay, so, identify a place where you experience lack and think about your desire, and then just push away. Put it in the light's hands. The fulfillment is there. That desire is the vessel, but it can't show up if we're like not functioning because we need it. We're okay. You're okay. It's precisely okay. And by the way, let me add to the whole list of things in this context, is like beating ourselves up for how we act. Of course you're acting that way. You're engaged in physicality. We have body consciousness. We're going to be reactive. Don't beat yourself up for that. That comes with the territory. It's another paradox. I have to rise above it. But it's there, and I can't rise above it if I don't acknowledge it's there. Look, I don't want to show up with fear. Well, I'm Cancerian, so it goes on all the time. I don't want to show up with fear. But if I don't acknowledge it, I can't rise above it very well, can I? I'm then ignoring it. Cancerians are really super good at ignoring stuff. If I ignore it, I ignore it on my own peril. It's like I'm not dealing with it then. I'm literally burying it. It's there. It's there, though. Yes, Ron.
Well, I just want to say, like, you can't transform anything that you're not willing to look at, right? About that, but like when you kept talking, or when you brought up David Guillaume, there was this thing that he said that kept coming up. I just couldn't articulate it, but it's something about like when you receive something, when you receive a blessing, it's like, yeah, like believe, like have the belief that yes, it's there, but it's also like you question yourself, like, why did I receive this? You know, like, why do I even deserve it? And it's that kind of paradox. And I think what he said was like, because when you do that, it like sustains the blessing, like it over time, like, or, you know, like you get to keep it, right? When you just question, like, why did I even get this?
Right. It's an appreciation, right?
Yeah.
It's like someone said to me recently, like, used to be once upon a time in our circles, doubt was like a dirty word. Lack of certainty was like a dirty, oh, don't have lack of certainty. What do you mean don't have lack of certainty? But now it's not. Got to get it out there. That certainly that doubt is showing up for a reason. It's pointing out an area that we need to strengthen our consciousness in. Again, it's just another example of like falling to get up again. We're going to constantly fall so we can get up again and grow in our consciousness, in our appreciation, in our awareness of the fact that there is actually the light of the Creator that's inside of us. Like, how dare us criticize ourselves when we actually have the light of the Creator inside us? You're kidding. But we do it anyhow. But that's happening because it's giving us the ability to develop more certainty about what's going on our path and how everything's happening for a reason. Of course, it's this dichotomy. It's this paradox between falling and rising.
But it's not necessarily about the falling. It's more importantly about the getting back up again.
Yes, it is. But you can't get back up again if you haven't fallen. So even the falling serves its purpose. All right, everybody. With that, I love you all. Have a great week.
Shabbat shalom.
It's a good time to start thinking about Pesach.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Seriously. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you
Shabbat
all.
shalom.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.
All right.
Thanks all.